The Steam Deck is getting outdated. While it's still a fantastic value, its 4-core Zen 2 CPU and 8-core RDNA 2 GPU is not really cutting it anymore. Some of the biggest, newest games are getting harder and harder to run on the deck, even if they can run, like Where Winds Meet or Doom the Dark Ages, and some just can't run at all because of SteamOS, like the new Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Yes, there are still some newly released games that can run decently well, like Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remaster, but ultimately, it's not going to be able to keep playing the newest games at its current state. And with handhelds that have newer hardware in it, like the ROG Xbox Ally X, it's going to be really tough to keep coming back to the Steam Deck to play the PC game library that we keep amassing. So I think it's fair that a lot of people are worried about what the next Steam Deck is actually going to be like and when we're going to see it. However, on multiple occasions in different interviews, Valve has mentioned that they have an idea of what they want for the Steam Deck 2, but the technology just isn't ready for it yet. So they're not going to be moving on it just yet. However, the Steam Deck is not going anywhere, and it's actually Valve's new hardware announcements that make me even more sure of that. So, in case you missed it, Valve announced 3 new pieces of hardware: the Steam Frame, the Steam Machine, and the Steam Controller. The Steam Frame is a new VR headset with some really great technology in it and a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor powering it. Then we move towards the Steam Machine, which is basically a PC that's been designed to look like a console, and using SteamOS, act like one too. It's definitely a step up from the Steam Deck in terms of power as well. In the CPU range, it has 2 extra cores and is using Zen 4 architecture, whereas in the GPU side, we have 28 cores and is using the RDNA 3 architecture. It's also got 16GB of DDR5 RAM and 8GB of DDR6 video RAM, so now they are separated, whereas in the Steam Deck, we only had 16GB of unified RAM. Ultimately, the Steam Machine is going to be something like a console PC. It's designed to be plugged into a TV, and you can use your controller to control it like you would any other console. And since it's using SteamOS, the same operating system as the Steam Deck, we're going to be met with a console-like UI almost immediately right at startup. And finally, we have the Steam Controller, which is honestly the controller of my dreams. It takes the Steam Deck's control scheme and puts it into one giant controller. It looks a little bit weird, but honestly, it has everything I want. It's got back buttons, it's got all the triggers, it's got Steam input support so that we can customize it the way we want to, and personally, it has the trackpads, and I cannot say how much I want those trackpads. It's something I fell in love with on the Steam Deck, being able to play some point-and-click games and navigate the desktop really easily, and is going to be my favorite part of this controller. What Valve is basically doing is creating the first consumer-friendly PC gaming home ecosystem, and it's something that I've been dreaming about for such a long time. Basically, you're just going to have to buy a game once, and you're going to be able to play it however you want to, whether you want to play it sitting down on a TV, at your desk, in the palm of your hands, on a VR device, and you're going to be able to use a universal controller to control whatever game you buy, whether it be a point-and-click game, whether it be a first-person shooter, whether it be a third-person shooter, whether it be a strategy or simulation game. It really doesn't matter. You're going to be able to control it with this controller that works with everything. That is the big appeal of all these devices and why it's really so nice to try getting all of them, because they're all going to be able to speak to each other. They're all using SteamOS, they're all connecting to Steam, and yes, you have a bunch of other devices that could probably use Steam. You can build your own desktop PC, you can have another handheld PC that has Steam on it, and you still get that same kind of experience, but this is all a unified ecosystem, all in SteamOS. This also could bring console gamers into the PC gaming ecosystem, which is so much more friendly. On top of all these great sales and bundle sites where you can actually put games together and get them for one cheap price, we also have an infinite amount of backwards compatibility and emulation. This means that games that released 20, 30 years ago, we can play on PC. Even on Steam, there are games that are still available that have been released in 2000, 2001, 2002. And so far, Steam hasn't really cracked down and gotten rid of any old games. Yes, publishers can always revoke licenses and we get rid of them, and we can go into the whole argument of we own or we don't own games, but we can still play our games. I mean, I have my library of over 4,000 games that I've had since 2009, and I still have almost every single one of those games. It's amazing. And yes, that also includes emulation, which allows us to go back and play games that have been lost to time that were released on systems like the PS2 or GameCube or even the PSP. Like these games that we cannot play anymore that are just gone, like Final Fantasy Dissidia 012. That's one of my favorite PSP games, but it hasn't been re-released anywhere. Now I can go back and play it, and I could play it on my TV, I could play it on my handheld PC, I could play it on my VR glasses. And if you somehow get tired of the infinite backwards compatible library that we have and all the emulated games that you can play, we also have mods which can expand what some games are able to do. One of my favorite games to mod the hell out of is RimWorld, which adds in so much content, it's insane. I have about 300 mods, and it almost always breaks the game at some point because it's just trying to load in way too much, but it's just so cool. I love playing RimWorld that way and watching it get destroyed. So what Valve is doing is really, really wonderful, and I'm so excited to see it come to fruition. But the Steam Deck is an integral part of that, and Valve has been making it very clear that this is going to be part of the family. So after all is said and done, these three pieces of new hardware are fantastic, and they offer a glimpse into something really wonderful, but that doesn't explicitly increase the Steam Deck's longevity. It doesn't change the fact that the Steam Deck is still going to have the same amount of power even when these new hardware pieces release. So why is it that these new three pieces of hardware are actually going to increase the Steam Deck's lifespan? Well, I have two main reasons to believe that. First, the Steam Deck is never going to be leaving the conversation. No matter how much you talk about this PC gaming ecosystem and all three pieces of hardware, the Steam Deck is a very big part of each one, even going so far as to play a prominent role on each of their store pages. Despite the Steam Deck being almost 4 years old, every page has the deck on it to some degree, whether it be the Steam Frame page, which mentions you can stream games from the deck to the frame, whether the Steam Machine page mentions that you can stream from the machine to the deck, and the Steam Controller page mentions it's compatible with the Steam Deck. There are also many pictures that show all four devices on the same field, or all the icons lined up right next to each other. Even when you look at the hardware section, it goes Steam Hardware, which is the overview of all the hardware coming, and then the first thing next to it is the Steam Deck. No matter how you look at it, the Steam Deck is going to be part of the conversation when we talk about Valve's new hardware, and it's going to be using very similar systems. I mean, they're all going to be using SteamOS. The Steam Frame is a actual PC, even though it's a VR headset. The Steam Machine is going to be using SteamOS and is a PC, and I mean, the Steam Controller is a controller, but the Steam Deck uses SteamOS. They're also all going to be using the same verified system, but they're going to be geared towards those specific machines. It will be much easier for the verified system to go to like the Steam Machine because it's going to be, going from a lower powered PC to a higher powered PC, so anything that's Steam Deck verified is going to easily be Steam Machine verified. However, the Steam Frame is going to be using that same system as well, and it'll probably be a little bit different because it's going to be geared more towards VR and that lower powered chipset, but it's still going to be there, and it all started from the Steam Deck verified system. So even though the hardware is almost 4 years old at this point, it's still being shown front and center, right next to all the new hardware. However, my second reason is probably my most important one, and that is the PC gaming ecosystem. As I just mentioned, Valve wants to create this incredible ecosystem where you buy a game once and you play it however you want to, and we can take advantage of the extremely large PC gaming library that we have, whether it be on Steam or off of Steam. However, the Steam Deck is a big part of that. It's the only one out of all these pieces of new hardware that allows us to take our games on the go. Every other piece of hardware is stationary apart from the Steam Frame, but we can't really play that while we're walking around or while we're traveling. So that's what the Steam Deck is for. We can take it out of our backpacks, we can continue playing our games, we can put it away, let the cloud save upload, and then play it back on our Steam Machine, picking up right where we left off. I see it similarly to the Nintendo Switch, just without the docking mechanic. The Steam Machine is like if the Switch is docked, while the Steam Deck is, the Switch in handheld. The only difference is that they are two different pieces of hardware, so they will need a little bit extra time to communicate with each other. We can't just set it down, then pick it back up. But it's going to be very easy for us to just keep on playing games no matter where we are. I feel like it's being hammered in that, again, you only have to purchase a game once. No longer do you have to buy a game on PS5 or Xbox Series X to be able to sit down and enjoy the game on your TV, and also buy a copy on PC if you want to play on PC. Now, all you have to do, buy a game on Steam or on Epic or on GOG or any PC DRM. With this new ecosystem and this whole idea, you don't have to buy multiple copies of games anymore. Now, you only have to really buy it once. Now, imagine this. You're sitting down at your TV, you're playing some Indiana Jones in the Great Circle and having a great time. Then you're going to have to leave to go somewhere in about 5 minutes. So you shut down your game on your Steam machine on your TV, let the cloud save upload, and turn off your TV. Then you go ahead and start leaving, you head out, and you get to where you want to go. Now you connect to the Wi-Fi, re-download that cloud save, and now you can continue right where you left off, wherever you are. It doesn't matter. That's the beauty of this ecosystem, is it's going to be so easy for everything to connect with each other. Now, yes, it is possible that we could really be doing this with any handheld PC. It doesn't have to be a Steam Deck, but if we're looking for something more unified and easy to understand and learn, it's going to be the Steam Deck. With almost every device here being a PC and using SteamOS, you're going to have a unified operating system experience. So if you learn how to do something for one, you'll be able to do it for every other. For example, let's say you want to install your GOG games on the Steam Deck and on your Steam machine. So you have to go through and learn how to do it. You do it once on the Steam Deck, you know exactly how to do it on the Steam machine. And technically on the Steam frame, it is a PC, though I don't know if it'll be able to run many games outside of VR. But now it's just easy to learn. That's the big thing, is now they all have this unified experience which really links them all together. You could technically install Windows on the Steam machine as well, but you're not going to get that console-like experience that I think is really going to be beneficial for the Steam machine. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say is Valve's new hardware announcements are fantastic, and I love their goal of creating this PC gaming home ecosystem where everything can connect to each other and you only have to buy a game once and you play it the way you want to. The big thing about this to me, though, is the Steam Deck is still a massive part of all of this. It's front and center on every single page to some degree. With the Steam machine being perfect for sitting down and playing at a TV, the Steam frame being perfect for being able to play VR games and look around like in a more theater-like experience for some other games, with a desktop PC being used to sit down at a desk and play games, whether it be with a keyboard and mouse, and the Steam Deck being perfect for taking games with you wherever you are on the go. And then we have the controller, which unifies all of them. You can use the control on your desktop, you can use it on your Steam machine, you can use it with the Steam frame, and of course, you can use it with the Steam Deck. So in the end, we bring everything together and they're creating this giant family, and every part of that family is very, very important. And the Steam Deck is front and center with all of it. So do I think this will extend the lifespan for multiple years? No, it's probably going to need a refresh very soon. But is it going to stop it from existing? Are people going to stop buying it? No. I think this is actually going to encourage more people to buy it because they're going to be getting into this new Valve PC gaming ecosystem, and the Steam Deck is a big part of that. Hopefully, we will see a Steam Deck refresh or the next generation Steam Deck in the next 1 to 2 years. I'm still thinking that they're going to be using those RDNA 4 cores for FSR4 upscaling, but ultimately, we're going to see what they're going to do. They wanted to wait for their next generation, and I respect them for that because I do want to see that generational jump that they have in mind. However, I do think one thing is certain from this. Valve's new hardware is going to be amazing. And I think it's just going to keep the Steam Deck and Steam itself front and center for what could be one of the best console-like experiences that unifies every single way that we can play a game while connecting us to one of the best gaming ecosystems that exists today. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like and subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified as soon as our next video goes live. And a huge thank you to our patrons. You guys are awesome. See you next time.